The office inside of your mind has some employees who are consistently sabotaging what you are trying to do, and you're not even aware of it. In this video, we will shine a light on them, and we will realign them with your goals so you can do what you're already doing, but easier, faster, and with more enjoyment. Hi, I am Sven Pleger, a holistic performance psychologist with the mission of empowering you with the knowledge and tools necessary to consistently achieve your goals. I love that you're taking time today to explore psychological resistance with me. Where can we find resistance in everyday life? New Year's resolutions are a great place to see resistance at work. Most of us start the year with a goal, but only very few actually manage to achieve that goal. It takes 1 week for 25%, a quarter of us, to be defeated by resistance. Then it tapers off until at the end, only 8% of us actually manage to achieve the goal they set out to achieve. Resistance is very real, it affects every one of us, and it is powerful. This video will cover what resistance is, why resistance is, and how we can reduce it. All of that not starting with scientific knowledge, but rather with something very relatable, and those are stories. 3 stories from past clients of mine whose names I've changed. In our first story, we join Mary. Mary is a trader, and her story begins during the times of COVID. The economy went wild, everything changed. She didn't change the way she traded though, and because of that, her trades no longer worked. They continued to happen until she had to stop, because otherwise her portfolio was in danger. She fled to teaching how to trade instead of actually trading. She came to me asking for help because she wasn't really finding fulfillment in teaching. She wanted to trade. Something inside of her felt that she was running away. So resistance towards trading is what this story is about. Resistance to trading led her into teaching. Resistance to trading that came because she had failed again and again. And the resistance anticipated that if she kept on doing exactly that, her portfolio would plummet and she would lose her job. Very real danger, very real fear, and resistance protected her from it. The second story is about Mark. We join Mark, who grew up in a Christian household. He grew up, at some point moved away when he was a young adult, and then everything changed for him. Well, not everything, but his belief changed. His faith changed. And he really wanted to tell his family and friends, but he didn't. He couldn't. There was resistance to it. Until at some point, he felt very disconnected from all of his old acquaintances, friends, family, everything. He came to me asking for help because of exactly that disconnection. His resistance pushed him away from a very important side of his life, his social side. How can that be? It's absolutely important to be included socially from an evolutionary perspective. Well, what's even worse is being rejected, being banished. And that was the idea of the resistance. If you go to your parents and you tell them that you've changed, you're pulling the rug under their feet. They will banish you and you will be lost. And this is where resistance came in, pushing him away. Again, to protect him. The last story is about Linda. Linda's story begins very tragic. When Linda was younger, she was raped. She was raped, ran away, managed to get away, and hide in some bushes. Completely still, looking, afraid, paralyzed. Thankfully, the perpetrator did not find her, and she survived and did not suffer any more pain. But in this situation, not running away, but freezing, saved her life, or at least saved her from massive amounts of pain. Here is where resistance comes in, because that connection made her unable to walk. She came to me because everyone else she visited, every neurologist, healthcare professional, told her the exact same thing. It doesn't make sense that you wouldn't be able to walk. There's no reason for you to suffer so much pain while walking. I'm sorry, I can't help you. She came to me as the last resort. We worked on this. And I quickly realized that it was resistance that tried to protect her from walking out and potentially suffering more pain. Freezing was so important, so valuable in the past, that walking was seen as dangerous. Now that we've covered the 3 stories, let's answer the questions we came here for. First question, what is resistance? There is 2 definitions I want to talk about here. First one, resistance is parts of you working against you. Every time a client comes to me, it is resistance, some form of it. That's always a part of it. They're trying to do something and they're failing because a part of them is working against them, keeping them from it. That is resistance. There is another definition. That is the unconscious unwillingness to do something. Pay attention to the word unconscious here. Unconscious basically is an invisible wall. You don't see it. It's not conscious. You can't perceive it. You only feel the effect. You want to walk somewhere and then boom. And you hit that wall and you get thrown back. And you're confused. And then you try again and the same thing happens. It's unconscious. You don't perceive the wall, but it's there. You feel it. If that is you, if that is something you identify with, you might be experiencing resistance. So, next question. Why does resistance exist? Seems very counterintuitive. Why would we have something like this? The answer is to protect us from danger, from perceived danger. It doesn't have to be an actual danger. It could be wrong. It has been partly wrong in all of the examples above. But still, it's trying to protect you. So that doesn't really help to do something about it. Well, it protects you, okay. But how does it protect you? So there's the bonus question. How does resistance try to protect you from danger? There's many different forms. It's a very powerful concept. You've most likely felt it. At times it feels impossible to overcome because resistance at its core is trying to keep us from danger, trying to make us survive. And it does that by biological means. Pain, sickness, stomach ache, anything like that. Time-based, procrastination. Energy-based, tiredness. There is also lots of psychological ones. The one I want to pay special attention to is guiding your awareness. You are not even aware of what is happening. You just pay attention to something else. Your mind makes it so that you're paying attention to something that is not leading you to where you want to go. You get distracted. So resistance can also come in the form of distractions. And then there's a couple general ones. Burnout is one of them. If your body is convinced that you're overdoing it, that your environment is hostile because maybe you create it, because maybe there's so much stress happening, you might get burned out and your energy is gone. You're basically flattened. That is also resistance trying to keep you from the danger you repeatedly experienced outside. Let's ask the last and most interesting question. How do you reduce it? What can we do about it? Before I'm going to answer this, take a second, maybe pause the video and think about what you would do. If you need some help, think about how you would help my clients. What would you have done? So for me, what I did. For Mary, trading was the issue. Well, it wasn't really trading. And that's the first thing I clearly explained. Your resistance is generalized. It's against trading. Trading is not dangerous though. You've done it so many times before. It's never been dangerous until COVID happened. Well, but COVID also isn't really the issue. What is the issue is you started making a couple of bad trades and then you got nervous. We explored that and she felt pressure, obviously. She had lost a couple times and now there was lots of pressure, nervousness, anxiety, fear. You don't make good decisions in these circumstances. So that was all that we had to do. Get rid of the emotions and create a better system to trade in those weird times. We did exactly that, practiced, exposure, and after about a month, it was good. It was up and down, but we worked it out. And she even got promoted. So it didn't just go back to normal levels, but she even got promoted. Second story, Mark. With Mark, it was a bit more difficult because I made it very clear to him. Look, currently, you are rejecting everyone indirectly. You feel resistance towards them. You don't call them. You feel disconnected from them. It's not a nice situation to be in, neither for you nor for them. Because at some point they will feel something. If there is resistance, they will feel something. They will feel you weird. There is a chance, though, that if you confront them and you talk about what has happened, your change, that you're no longer as religious, that they will reject you. There is a chance, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. No one is helped by that. So, he thought about it. He thought about the pros and cons and decided to go for it. Tell them. We did some assertiveness training, trained communication, had a look at boundary setting. The day came, he talked about it. It went quite well. There's still quite a bit of disagreement regarding religion, but he is now again connected to them, except for this one topic. He wasn't rejected, he wasn't banished. Resistance, defeated, or, to say it in a better way, more accurate way, reduced to where it actually makes sense, which is religion, the fighting point. Last story, Linda. With Linda, it was a matter of teaching her body, showing her body that walking was safe. So I asked her to walk. It was painful for her, but ask her to walk, support it, just move for a bit. Show your body, be conscious about that it's safe. Nothing bad will happen. And that reduced it a bit. We had to go one step further though, because that was very deep. And we reduced the painfulness, the emotional intensity of the experience as well. We did that with EMDR. And then we slowly worked up with a technique I'm going to show you in just a bit. Before I talk about how to reduce resistance, how you can reduce your resistance, I'm going to quickly talk about a bonus. Just by you listening to this video, your unconscious mind will now be serving you with pieces of resistance in your daily life. Maybe it's already started. Maybe there's already bits and pieces that have come to your conscious attention where you think, well, that might be resistance. I want to work on this. And it will happen today, and it might even happen a couple days in the future. Just here and there, if you pay conscious attention to it, you can work on it. If you don't, it's going to pass. Don't worry. It's going to go back to being unconscious, the unconscious unwillingness. So, action steps. How can you work on yours? The first step always is awareness. Find where you assume resistance and then explore it. Put your conscious attention to it. Second step, find what the resistance is trying to protect you from. Where is the danger? Where is the perceived threat? And third is reducing it with 3 tools. First tool, you want to rationalize. You want to take a second and think if it actually makes sense to have that resistance or not. Sometimes it does. Please don't think that resistance is always bad. We have resistance to dangerous things. And it's good that we have resistance. But some of that is outdated. Some of that is just illogical. So rationalize it. Think about it. Does it make sense? It doesn't really make sense for Mary to be afraid of trading. It makes sense for her to be afraid of emotional trading. It's a very good difference. Second tool, actively disconfirming it by following the fear or the resistance to the expected result. For Linda, that was walking in the room. So I asked her to do exactly that and to feel that it's safe. When your body feels that it's safe and you do that for a couple times, it might already get rid of the resistance because it just proves that resistance is not necessary because it's not dangerous. It's safe. Sometimes the resistance is so deeply rooted that you need the third tool, systematic desensitization. You build a hierarchy, building up to what you have the most amount of resistance to. For Linda, that was walking. The hierarchy was sitting while thinking about walking, standing supported, standing unsupported, walking supported, and then walking unsupported. While we worked through that hierarchy, we didn't move on to the next step until she was feeling safe, and we made sure she had the tools to feel safe. Emotion regulation was one of them. Progressive muscle relaxation was another one of them. Breathing. So she said, thought about walking, controlled herself, felt safe, emotionally regulated herself. And then she continued to the next step, repeating it all the way through walking. And at some point, after a month, she was able to walk. And you can apply that same thing, systematic desensitization. I want to have a little bonus here. Exposure often is needed. Give it some time. You have an association to fight against. Now you need to make a new one. That takes time. That takes exposure. So that is how you can reduce your resistance. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. If you like my videos in general, consider subscribing. And do have a compassionate talk with the parts that work against you. They just want the best for you. They just want to protect you. But maybe they're outdated. And maybe there's just a logical error. They're not perfect. Do have a look. And I'll see you in the next one.